Welcome. I'm Steph, an intuitive hypnotist from Quebec, Canada.
I'm Julie, a past life regression hypnotist and Reiki healer from Wisconsin.
And together, we are the Soulful Mystics. So today, we're going to be talking about Oracle and Tarot decks and how I specifically use them for certain scenarios or certain readings that I want to do. So I have intentions for each of my decks. So Julie had a situation recently that she's going to tell us about.
Before I do that, I just want to kind of explain a little bit that, like, Steph, you teach me so much. Like, I really don't know too much about Oracle, and I know even less about tarot. Anytime I have a question about a reading or anything like that, I always go to you. You're my go-to. And so that's kind of what happened.
That's nice, because I don't see myself as someone who knows too much about it.
You know, I don't really think anybody should be considered an expert per se, right? But you have more knowledge than I do, and you're so kind and willing to share that knowledge. And so I think everybody kind of has their own level of understanding.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, this was Wednesday morning of this last week. My son was going on his first trip on his own to go visit a friend, his first time flying alone. So Wednesday morning, I woke up and I was not feeling good. Like, I was very nauseous. I was very emotional. I was nervous about him being on his own and all of that, right? Trying to follow my intuition, I just kind of had the thought, like, well, you should just pull some cards, just, make sure this is the right move and blah, blah, blah. And so that's what I did. And I picked a specific deck because when I had the thought to pull cards, this deck, I literally saw it in my mind. And so I thought, oh, this is the deck they want me to use. And so I pulled some cards and they were like very dark. They were dark and I was worried. And then I was like super emotional. I was crying. Oh God, I was a hot mess, right? So I'm texting you and kind of explained the situation. And then I sent you the cards that I pulled. I had pulled 3 cards. And you're like, what deck was this? And so I took a picture of the deck and I sent it to you. And I wonder if I can even find our chat. I feel like we chat so much. But
I said, Julie, this is my shadow work deck.
Yeah. And I was completely confused because, first of all, in my mind, I always just went with a deck that I felt drawn to in the moment that I decided to pull cards. And so, like, that's usually how I go about it. I never really thought to have specific decks for specific things. And maybe for most people, that's a no-brainer. But for me, just being so new at this and just kind of exploring and playing around, I really had no idea.
But I think that's normal, though, because when I first started too, I had less decks. And so I would just go with whichever one I was drawn to. But then I found myself in the exact same situation as you, where I was like, oh, this doesn't help. And so that's when I put them in different boxes that would hold their intention so that I knew where to go depending on what I needed.
Yes. And I absolutely love that. And so later on, we're going to talk more about that. And I'm so excited to get into that. Meanwhile, I'm freaking out because I'm pulling these like dark cards. And by the way, it was the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. So that's the one I used. Steph, as sweet as she is, offered to pull some clarity cards for me and go from there and just see. And so the deck, you just used one deck, right?
I think I used 2, but only one card from the second one. But the main one was the Sacred Forest.
Okay. And so the Sacred Forest Oracle deck, and it looks like it's by Denise Lynn. That's the one you pulled. And the reading was just, oh my God, it put me so much at ease. And so you pulled these cards and you're like, nothing, like there was one card in there, you're like, nothing bad can come in a reading when this card is pulled. It was just so much about how good this trip was going to be for my son and this and that. And then you said, I have a woman coming through because Steph is just magical. Like, okay, I would really love to know who she is if you're able to. And so you said she wanted you to do some automatic writing. And so that's what you did, right? The reading, it was just beautiful. Basically, like my spirit guides had said that, or was it my grandma? Oh shit, I gotta go look. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to read the reading that you gave me because it's short. It's short. So for me, the message was, our sweet boy won't be alone ever. He is divinely protected through this journey on earth and this trip. You are surrounded now because you need us more. I was really a hot mess that morning. The one who's always saying, oh, I'm not emotional. Oh, yes, when it's my son.
Understandably, yeah.
Yeah. For my son, you said he has 6 guides traveling with him. He is nervous. He will miss mom. This will open his mind and eyes to new and exciting opportunities and perspectives. And then for the woman that came through, you wrote, she was a grandma figure, protective, nurturing, sweet, but tough as nails. And then it goes on to say, he has a bright light surrounding him once he arrives. His nerves will be gone. This trip will be beautifully impactful for him. And so that was just so reassuring. And then you go on to describe this woman that came through, and you said she has short, curly hair, light color, a distinct smell of perfume, hummingbirds, yellow flowers, and fae. I knew that was my grandma just by the short curly hair that was light in color. That was my son's great grandmother. I was very close to her on earth, and I feel like I still am now, even though that she's passed on. That really touched me. I felt so peaceful after that reading, and it was something that was so easy and natural to you to just do, like, okay, let's make sense out of this. And I was like on the verge of a panic attack. And it totally just brought so much peace to me. So I'm so grateful to you for doing that for me. So thank you.
Yeah, anytime. I love doing stuff like that. And the automatic writing, I remember after the reading, you sent me a photo of her.
Yes.
And I saw this bracelet and jewelry, but I don't wear jewelry at all. And while I was writing, I felt like I was wearing a bracelet. It felt like something was bulky on my wrist as I was writing.
Yeah.
And so that really struck me as to, like, I think I connected with her deeper than I thought in that moment. And that was really cool.
Awesome. Oh, I love that so much. So then you had pulled a card from my grandma. For me, it was like a message from her for me. Out of this Sacred Forest deck, it was the Courage card. There was a lot of yellow flowers on this card, and even on some of the other cards you had pulled for the reading, yellow was everywhere. Yellow was my grandma's favorite color. And so that was another thing that really stood out to me. I was just so intrigued by this whole experience. It was so meaningful to me. So I ordered the deck myself because I have been wanting a new deck, but I just hadn't found something that I really felt I connected with until this one.
Yeah.
I got the deck yesterday. And I was so excited to play with it and explore it. I, just started playing with it, and I pulled one card, and it was New Beginnings. And it was one of the exact same cards that you had pulled for me days earlier.
Yeah.
And so I start shuffling again, and another card flies right out. And it was the Courage card, the card that my grandma had you pull for me. There's really something to this, right?
Yeah.
And talking with you and the different ways to use different decks and kind of how to have that specific intention behind them really spoke to me in that moment. And I just knew this is my connection to spirit. This is how I'm going to use this deck, and not only just spirit, but to my grandmother as well. And so that is really something that is precious to me. I love how my grandma was part of that. I feel the series of events from when I pulled the cards from that mystical shaman oracle deck. And I was so confused about that because I was like, I literally saw it in my mind. So I thought that was the one I was supposed to use, trying to follow my intuition. And then looking back on the situation, if I didn't pull from that deck, I probably wouldn't have reached out to you for help. Yeah. I probably wouldn't have been able to connect to my grandma in the way that you did because I haven't been able to do that. I know all of this whole thing just kind of fell into place the way it was supposed to. Another thing that stands out too is I've talked about mediumship and am I a medium? I don't know if I'm a medium, that kind of thing. I have a lot of magical friends who are psychics and mediums, and they've told me that I'm a medium, and I just didn't really believe it. And one of them, we actually went to a group reading together, and on the way she had mentioned, why don't you start using cards to connect to spirit? And at that time, I don't even think I had any decks, or maybe just one at the time. So I was so new to it. And I was like, does that really happen? Like, is that how it works? Just so naive and really not having a clue. That's kind of my story with what happened that led to you teaching me so much and now sharing that knowledge with everyone else.
Yeah. Like you said, your intuition was spot on, that you had to pull from that deck, because that deck, I don't use very often. So I didn't recognize the pictures. The pictures are beautiful, but they have I don't know, like a vibe to it. And that vibe really helps with shadow work in my experience. But when you're trying to pull something to ease your soul, it's not the not the best deck. So it really did work out perfectly, because when I chose the Forest Oracle, or the Sacred Forest Oracle for you, I use that one a lot, but it's not my one go-to. So I really believe that she orchestrated that entire thing to get you to believe in yourself as a medium, because you pulling the exact same cards that I pulled really just proves that she's trying to tell you, you could do this. Let's do this.
Yeah. I'm so grateful for that experience, because now I feel like that self-doubt is kind of slipping away. Can't make this shit up. I mean, you really can't. I mean, I have no choice but to trust it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what she wanted to portray for you, and
Yeah.
for you to figure it out on your own, which is exactly what happened when you drew those two cards. Yeah. So the way that I do it is basically I choose a deck, I see how it makes me feel, and I put it into, at first I used to put them into boxes. So I would decorate a box as like my shadow box. And then also I called it my angel box, because the cards that I had that I used for them were all about angels. Now that I have so many decks, I have a past life reading deck that I'm going to use for Julie today.
Ooh, and I can't wait.
Not just a deck. There's four decks that I use for those readings, and they really just help me portray the life. So I use the Sacred Traveler Oracle cards. So this one tells me about the journey, one or a few significant journeys that this past life wants to tell you about. Oracle of the Hidden Worlds.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this one tells me about maybe a time and a place, or the kind of soul that you were in that past life. And this is the tarot deck that I use. It's called the Akashic Tarot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll
Very
put all
cool.
the names and the authors in the description. And then this one, the Life Purpose, which you will not be able to find anywhere because it's from Doreen Virtue, unfortunately. Love this deck, but you can't find them anywhere because she removed them all from the market.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she changed her spiritual views and decided that she wanted all of her decks removed. But I love this one because it's all about life purposes, jobs, talents, gifts, that kind of thing. So I use that to discover what you did in a past life. Yeah. So really the way that I do it is I focus on what I need in that moment. So if I'm in a really good place and I want to do shadow work, I will use the Shaman's Oracle deck. And I have another deck called the Dark Mirror.
Ooh, that one is scary looking.
It is pretty scary. Let me
But the Dark Mirror, I mean, that means a lot.
This deck has, plus with the Shaman's Oracle deck, it really helped bring a lot of things that I was dealing with to light. So you do have to do it when you're in a good state of mind that you just want to mindfully and intentionally work on yourself. Trying to find I
love that stuff.
Really, it really does, it has its benefits to work on with those cards for sure. Yeah. So if you're feeling anxious, I would go towards a deck that was more lighthearted, so that the answers that you get make you feel more at ease.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I know you're doing the past life reading for me in a few minutes, and you have specific decks you use for that. But do you just hold the deck and see if it feels right? Or do you use a pendulum to choose? Or how exactly do you do that? Because I just look at my 7 decks and I pick one that I want to work with, and that's that.
So it really depends on the question that the person has for me. So, or if I'm just doing a general reading, I have this easy to access little box here that maybe we'll put this on YouTube or something where people can see what I'm doing. But
oh, wow. Yeah.
So these are 8 of my general go-tos. And so if I'm choosing one, I'll generally use my left hand, because your left hand is easier for intuition. Okay. And I'll just pick whichever one that I'm feeling if it's a general reading. And if I'm doing a reading for someone who I don't know too much, I'll use my goddess power. Mm-hmm. And then depending on who I pick from this deck, she's going to explain to me who this person is that I'm reading for. And I really love that about this deck, because they're all goddesses, and everyone that I read for is a goddess as well. So they just really show me the inside, who this person is, so that I can connect to them a little better. Because sometimes I don't even know the person's name.
I really love that stuff. I don't even know. I don't even have words. I'm just oh, I'm going to pick a card and read the booklet. And you go so much deeper. You really, and you know exactly how to go that deep. And that is the knowledge that I'm lacking. And I'm just so grateful that you teach me. You teach me your
Yeah.
ways. Yeah. And like, I just love getting insight on who the person is before doing the actual reading for them. That is freaking cool.
Yeah. It helps connect. If you wanted a shaman deck that has a lighter flow to it, the Shaman's Dream Oracle is
Oh,
it's really beautiful. It's got amazing insight and it does have a lighter feel to it. But it can go pretty deep. So I think that was the other one that I chose one of the cards for.
awesome.
Yeah. And I do want to mention that I don't do readings anymore. Only for people who reach out like you know, friends and
Mhm.
family who need a quick reading, and I do a quick like email or by messenger. Just the reason why I moved away from it is because now that I do past life regression and hypnosis, I love that you as the client are able to become your own psychic and your own insider, right? Like you use your higher self to access all of that intuition from within you, and you get to feel your own guides so powerfully. So that's why I decided to move away from readings and just allowing my clients to be their own powerful being.
Yeah. And it like you still get to witness people empowering themselves. And that is one of my absolute favorite things about hypnosis is actually seeing that unfold right in front of you. It's amazing.
It is. It's really beautiful. So, I mean, I love doing readings, but I love it more when you get to really witness that magic that this person's experiencing. And then when they walk away from it, you could see that they're walking a little taller and just feeling like living in their powerful light. So, yeah, it's a beautiful transition.
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, when people go for a reading, a lot of times they're probably going to somebody that they don't know, right? You're kind of left with a little hesitation. Like, okay, yeah, that seems like it resonates, but is it really true? So that, there's always that little bit of doubt. But when people are under hypnosis and they're experiencing it for themselves, how can you doubt that? I mean, you are experiencing that. Yeah. And so that is super cool.
It is. Okay, so I'm going to, do you just want to do like a past life that relates to you today?
Yeah.
Unless you have something specific.
Well, I already told my guide something. So is that something you want to know?
It's up to you.
Okay. I think I'm going to keep it to myself and see what comes up.
Perfect.
And I'll tell you what it was after.
Okay.
Not that I'm challenging you or anything. I know you are powerful.
No, I love a good challenge. And actually, it's more challenging when I know more. Yeah. Because then the self-doubt creeps in and I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait, am I just saying this because she said this?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And especially because you know me so well.
Exactly. And I mean, if I fail miserably, we'll just cut it out and it's fine.
There is no failure.
Oh, okay. So just a little side note. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if we're going to put this on, but when I first started doing these past life readings, I started on myself. And when I pulled this card, I had a past life vision of myself in this exact forest. And she kind of looks like me. Well, the skinnier version of me when I was younger. She looked like me. Do you want to see, Max? Yeah. So she looked like me as I did in that past life. And a long time ago, where Max was my partner and we were rescuing animals as we came here to do together again in this life. Yeah, well, I just pulled that card. So maybe we were together at some point in that life.
And all the animals surrounding the girl in that picture.
Yeah.
And I've had a past life regression where I would go out in the woods and just connect with nature and all the little animals, and they would surround me just like that. So
Love that.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Already the first card.
It's so funny. These two cards here is exactly what we just talked about. And let's see where you were. Yeah. So basically, when I pull them, I just kind of read them like a story. And I don't look at the book unless there's something that's really confusing me. These ones are all really easy to read. So you got the Healing Temple, tells you that you were a healer. I do feel like there was a temple of some kind where you were. I don't think it was solely for healing in the way that they healed the body. It was spiritual as well. So there is a spiritual being in the photo. And then you had the Light Priestess, which automatically reminded me of Mary. So
Aww,
I'm pretty sure.
I love Mary.
I know. You can't not love her. She's just such a light, right? So I do feel like you had a lot of that energy as well. And what it says is galactic wisdom, cosmic rituals. So you were definitely a powerful person in this life, somebody who really felt confident in who they were with their spiritual gifts, and priestess. But then, and again, the gift. All of these ones are about your gift. And then there is another woman here.
Yeah.
So spiritual gifts specifically. But then what I found really interesting was Fey energy. And I forgot that I said that about your grandmother.
Yeah. Well, and I had a reading from Jude Lynch from Spirit Speakers that came up in that reading. She said, I have past lives that go back ancient times where I was like this, like Fey being or fairy being or whatever. I don't know.
I would love to explore that more in hypnosis because I've been so attracted to Fey creatures and fairies, all of them mystical, magical beings that we have been told are fairy tales. And I never believed they were fairy tales. I always believed them to be real, not like Santa Claus, you know? So that's how I differentiate those two things of growing up and having an imagination and being told that Santa Claus is real, yet being told that fairies are not real. And I always believe the opposite.
Wow.
And
so
like,
interesting.
yeah.
And I would love to explore that, by the way. So yes,
yeah,
let's.
we have to.
Yeah.
Okay. So first off, we have the King of Scrolls. And scrolls, if you look at the scroll that he has, that's all about messages.
Oh.
Right. So he has one scroll, it's rolled up. There's two scrolls down here. One is open. So what this means to tell me is that in this past life that we're experiencing now, you had many gifts relating to you in this life. You have unleashed one.
Oh, because that's what the open scroll means.
Yeah. The open scroll means it's open knowledge. It's something that you've experienced. So there's still at least 3 that are very big and very impactful that you are going to be opening in this lifetime as Julie.
Holy shit.
I just keep hearing like, unleash the hounds. Yeah, you see there's a yellow butterfly up here.
That's grandma. That's my sign for her. Oh
Yep.
my gosh. She is so part of this.
For sure. And I do feel like as soon as I looked at this, I felt and saw your new home, your new property.
Aww.
And you did send me photos today. And I knew that there would be a reason for it. And I do sense that these gifts are going to be opening on that property. And I feel like you have lived on that property before, or it was because she lived there. It could be, you know, somewhere close to it, or, you know, years ago, like other lifetimes, you had either crossed paths on the ground before there.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something relating you strongly, connecting you to that place. And you are going to be unleashing those gifts when you're there, because it is going to unlock your intuition in relation to this past life.
Wow.
So the reason I said that there's a minimum of 3 that are unopened is because the 8 of scrolls have 8 closed scrolls. Yeah. And there are animals. So I do believe that you're an animal communicator. Max is looking. Max is like intrigued. Do you want me to do one for you later, Max? Yeah.
I was trying to telepathically communicate with Ava the other day. She kept wanting more treats, and I was trying to explain to her through my mind why more treats is not a good idea. I am dead serious though. I was trying to do this so hard.
So fun story. When we lose power here a lot, during the last snowstorm or whatever it was, my partner was gone on a work trip and we lost power and I couldn't go anywhere because a tree had fallen on my car. And so I was stuck here. My phone didn't work. Okay. So it's not even like I had battery left and I could use my phone or anything. I was just me and the dogs. And I tried to hypnotize my dogs.
Did it work?
Well, they were sleeping, but I wanted them to tell me, like, give me telepathic insight into a past life that they had, or Binks. I was like, who were the people who had you before? Tell me, I will go find them and not give her back to them, but really just give them the finger and be like, you're a loss here, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's basically what I was telling her.
Did it work?
No, she didn't give me any insight.
Yeah, Ava. Part of me wonders if she did understand or if she did get my message, because she stopped. So like what she does when she begs for treats is she'll literally jump up on me, put her like little paws on my chest, and just put her face directly in my face and just look at me. And so as soon as I was telling her, I'm like, no, it's too late. We got to go to bed soon. You're going to get an upset belly. You can't have any more treats tonight. You had too many because she had a bath that day. So she got extra treats already. And so I really went through this whole explanation. And then she backed off and went and laid down. And she never does that. But then she wouldn't look at me. So I would say, Ava, and she would just kind of like sit there, like pouty. And then so then I'm trying to, again, talk to her through my mind. And I'm like, you don't have to be mad at me. It's okay if you're upset. You know, there'll be more treats to be had tomorrow. It was a whole thing.
That's funny. Well, you will be able to communicate with her more very soon.
That's awesome.
I don't think she'll ever accept not getting more treats, though, if she's anything like Binks. But
yeah, she's very demanding. She's the sweetest little baby, but she's demanding.
Yep, I feel you. All right. So, reaching your destiny, your light is shining brightly.
Aww.
So, I do believe you're bringing a lot of that light that you had in this past life forward with you in this life. You automatically shine brightly. So, the castle is in a bubble. And so,
Yeah.
I think the way that that makes me feel is you are kind of bubbling it up a little bit in order to allow other people to shine. But I think what this is telling you is if you pull in that energy that you had from this past life, the more you shine, the more they shine. And
Ooh.
you're bringing in that energy for sure.
Wow.
Miracles, expect the wondrous to emerge. I don't know what wondrous means, but I mean,
wow.
There's a genie here.
How many times can I say wow during this?
Well, the thing is, it all relates to each other because the next one is stepping into power.
Oh my gosh.
You are strong beyond measure. And so in this one, I do feel like you are, so I don't know about you, but I do feel like this little guy over here reminds me a little bit of Mason.
Yeah.
And so I feel like your ability to step into your power is going to be teaching him how to step into his, or it already has, and it's going to continue. And in this past life, that's what you did. I feel like you taught other people how to be their powerful, like higher self, how to bring that person forward.
Oh my gosh. And that's exactly what we do in hypnosis.
Yes, exactly.
Holy shit. I'm on the right path then.
You are. And for what you did in that past life and what that job or purpose is, what you brought forward with you and what you need to do in order to release it into your life as Julie. And honestly, like, I don't know if you saw me shuffle. I should have put my camera on it.
Steph.
It's Oracle cards, Kay, and it says you're able to discern answers and guidance for yourself and others.
You cannot make this shit up.
No,
oh my
and
God.
So that's what you did before. And in order to bring that gift forward in this life, you need to trust.
Oh my gosh.
So trust your feelings and dreams to guide your path. And I do feel like and she's holding a bubble, just so which relates to this one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Right. So allowing yourself to shine so that you can help other people shine. And that's also related to hypnosis, right? Because by doing hypnosis and by sharing it on the podcast, like sharing your gifts and talents on the podcast, you're allowing other people to shine their light as well.
And so are you.
Yeah, if you listen to the last episode with Meg, or the last two episodes, where we chatted with her in the last one, and I feel like within a week, so much has shifted for her after receiving that past life regression that she was able to step into her power a whole lot more and recognize these signs and synchronicities that her guides were giving her. You have that gift within you and you trust it when you're doing past life regressions and hypnosis and all that stuff. Now it's about that oracle giving yourself messages through decks that, connect to spirit. Like if you have this deck that's going to connect you to spirit. And so to summarize, you're a fairy light being who has come here to unleash a lot of the gifts that you learned along the way. And by doing that, you're going to be helping so many people unleash their own gifts and shine their light as well.
That is amazing.
So tell me what you asked.
Well, I said a couple things. Obviously, I'm open to whatever is for my highest and greatest good. I would like more information on my mediumship abilities, what I'm supposed to do with that, how to strengthen that ability and use it in the best possible way, for the greatest good. And the other one was, or I'd like to know more about my life with Jason, my husband.
Like a past life with him?
Yeah, I'd like to know more about that at some point. I think that would be cool. And that's something I'd also really like to explore in hypnosis as well. So the last kinship meeting when we did a hypnosis, it was about soul path. Mine was all about love, and it was just sharing love to everyone and everything. And since then, I've come to so many different realizations about what that means, because love comes in so many different ways and shapes and forms and all that. Gina had asked a question during the hypnosis, and she said, was there anyone there with you when you signed this contract for this soul path? And I had a vision of he and I, we are just outside and just being in nature, and we were just being in love. And then the other night we went So I live close to the water. So we took a walk down there and we were sitting by the water on a swing and just looking out at the beauty that is and the sky and the clouds and the water and everything. That was that moment and how we were feeling in that moment was exactly what I saw in that hypnosis. So I saw it before it happened. Yeah, and that just makes me want to explore more because I know that he and I do have such a deep soul connection. In when I do my own past life regressions or like when you facilitate for me, I have a hard time recognizing people. Some people are super great at it. They can look someone in the eyes in their past life and see, and they know, like recognize their essence and just know exactly who that is in this current life. I've done that maybe once or twice, and it was my son both times. I've never seen my husband. And so I'm just curious. And maybe that's just another intention to do for hypnosis. I have a whole list.
I know, we got to get on that.
I know.
So I just pulled 2 cards while you said that one, and I got these 2.
The King of Roses, and what is the other one? Oh,
the Queen of Keys.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a tarot deck, and I don't remember what they transition to. Like roses might be fire, or the wands. I'm not sure.
Okay.
What I see here is him looking down at flowers that he's picked,
and they're yellow flowers.
They are. Yeah, he's surrounded by yellow flowers.
Yeah.
And he's outside in nature. And what I feel is like he's contemplating whether or not he wants to keep his status because he looks like he's in love.
Yes, he does.
And then I'm pretty sure you got the message that he's a coming because you look real happy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think we should explore it.
Yeah.
Because I think you've had many past lives together. I think it's and he probably did show up in those in those regressions. It's just that you either, not that you didn't recognize him, but that maybe the right questions weren't asked, or it wasn't meant to be that you, like, that wasn't a part of what you needed to know. But
for sure.
You can always go back to a lifetime and explore even more about it. So that's what's fun about hypnosis, is it's all about your intention and what you want to do.
Absolutely. This has been so fun. And thank you so much. I'm so blown away.
It is really fun. And if you wanted to look at other decks that I use, what's my Instagram handle? We'll post in the show notes, but I used to do deck collecting and took photos and posted on there. I think it's like Divine Deck Discovery or something.
Yeah, Divine Deck Discovery is your Instagram.
And that's it for today's episode. Until next time, stay curious.